Welcome, bounty hunters and Star Wars fans alike. It is a special Christmas Day edition of All Fetts Are Off. It is I, Jason, the Tuscan Toast in beautiful Miami, Florida. And with me, as always, is Brian, the charismatic Carillion in San Antonio, Texas, freezing his took us off over there while I'm enjoying the balmy weather of South Florida.
Balmy weather? Get out of here.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
What,
As
a
balmy as it
nice
can get.
72 degrees, probably?
It's 55.
70?
It's 55 over here. But, Brian.
55.
Brian.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas.
And today we have a very, very special guest.
I'm
And
excited about this. Yes.
I'm glad. So, for everybody out there in the All Fetts Are Off universe and in the Toastyverse, this is my father, Dr. John Juarez, coming all the way from Central Texas to visit me on Christmas. We just finished eating. Brian, you and I decided to do a quick impromptu show to kind of get the OG Star Wars fan a perspective of some of the early releases that you and I, of course, couldn't be a part of because, well, I mean, we were either too young to remember, or I personally wasn't born yet because the original Star Wars movie came out in 1977. I was born in 1980, showing my age here. So this is a very special edition, and we're really excited to kind of sit down just a little bit after we stuffed our faces with some turkey and ham and macaroni. Just to kind of talk a little Star Wars and get the OG fans' perspective.
Yes, definitely. I'd like to welcome my uncle.
Thanks, Brian. Merry Christmas.
He's so much more than an uncle to me. I just want to take this moment to say how much I do appreciate you, Uncle Jay. There's never been a moment where you haven't been there, and on a day where we're thankful to have family, I'm thankful that you're my uncle. So, well, I'll begin with that. And
well, thank you very much.
It's great to have you on, and I say we just get right into it.
Yeah. I know you got some very, very specific questions, but Brian, here's the thing: Dad has never seen any of our shows. We've been doing this for over a year now, and he hasn't seen any single one of them. He hasn't watched it.
Well, that would be a shock to the millions globally that do watch us.
Right,
so,
the dozens that watch us every day.
I mean, just the hundreds of millions that check us out. It's from here all the way to Japan. It's just. But what better way for him to check us out than to have him live with us, right?
Exactly. So let's just get into it, man. So we all know that the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope, wasn't called A New Hope back then. It was just called Star Wars, right?
Star Wars.
Came out in 1977. I wasn't even born yet. You were how old, Brian? Two. Okay, so you were two. So we don't start developing memories until we're what, 3, 4, or something like that. So we can't remember a whole lot, but we can. So go ahead and ask him what we were talking about, and we actually talked about it earlier. So he's not getting blindsided by this question. Go for it.
So with Uncle Jay, with your infinite wisdom that you have, because you were actually experiencing this firsthand as you were present at this time period. Had you watched other films before Star Wars from George Lucas that maybe sparked your curiosity going into Star Wars? Had you seen films such as THX 1138 or American Graffiti, things of that nature that may have led you into, hey, I've heard this George Lucas guy, but did those kind of things start to lead you up to Star Wars?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, I saw American Graffiti. I think everybody saw American Graffiti. So that was a really good film, a little unusual, but very creative. And so when all of a sudden he was going to come and produce this movie that was science fiction, going into a whole different genre, we thought, okay, this could be interesting. Let's see what he can do with this. Can he take it to a different level from the other sci-fi movies that we had seen before? Okay, there weren't very many in the 70s, but then this one came across and it piqued a lot of people's interest. We didn't have a whole lot of big names in the movie. I mean, of course, we had Sir Alec Guinness. I mean, maybe some people remembered him from Bridge Over the River Kwai or something like that.
Peter
or
Cushing for
Peter Cushing for all these Dracula movies or whatever. But here you have, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, unknowns. Some people may have remembered Harrison Ford from American Graffiti, but a lot of no names. So still,
Good point.
the idea that, we were going to have this kind of movie piqued a lot of interest, and, people were sort of excited waiting for this to come to the theater.
So the teaser, right? Were you able to see the teaser before
Yeah.
the marketing started?
Oh yes, yes, of course. I mean, and of course that of course piqued my interest also because I love science fiction. I'm
Yes.
a big techie, so I didn't even have to see the teaser to know that I wanted to see this movie. So
Awesome.
Yeah, so yeah.
So your reaction to the teaser after hearing the buzz, did it add to the hype that you already had?
Well, of
Did
course.
it just start to?
Yes, of course, it reinforced, just my interest in this and telling me I really have to see this movie at some point. Okay, so, but like I said, even without the teaser, I would have definitely wanted to see this as soon as possible.
Awesome. So, probably the biggest maybe sci-fi thing before this, would you say it was 2001: A Space Odyssey? Would you say that was maybe the big one before this one? Like,
Right, that was a big a movie, sort of a confusing in some aspects, especially
no kidding, I was confused.
like the
I'm still
ending,
confused.
of course, and so you're thinking, where did this baby come from? As it's floating up in the galaxy, and but it was I think that was the last big sci-fi until Star Wars came across, and I guess Close Encounters, didn't Close Encounters come out in 77?
It did.
Yes, I think so.
That was
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg's first film.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it
Yeah.
came before or afterwards. Okay, but
Because Star Wars came out, was it May?
May
It
of
was
77.
May of
May
77.
May of 77.
And
Yeah.
but you know what? Close Encounters was released in November.
okay, all right.
So
Yeah,
that's a bit
so
after.
so Star Wars was the next big thing.
So, kind of walk us through it, in a way. Like, walk us through. Like, you've seen the teaser, you've seen the trailers. It got to a point where you were able to go get your tickets. So, I mean, like, walk us through. Like, you're getting your tickets.
Well,
Was there a line? Was there no line because
Well-
of the difference of social media versus no social media back then? And
I
you
had
got your
forgotten.
tickets, you're heading to your seats. Like, what's all that like when you're?
Well, I had forgotten way back then, and I just had read up a little bit on it. But when Star Wars first came out, it was limited to only 35 theaters. Okay.
Oh,
And-
interesting.
And
Wow,
and of course back then in '77 we don't have the technology that we have now. We couldn't buy tickets, through our cell phone. We
Right.
couldn't go to the ticket office box and get our ticket ahead of time. So you could only get your ticket at showtime. So and there were lines. Eventually the movie did get spread out to more theaters, but I don't think there was an international release till later in the year, till the end of the year. So,
Okay.
so of course, and then back then, I think there was only maybe one theater in San Antonio that was showing the movie. Okay.
really, only
Not-
one. Only one.
Maybe two.
Incredible.
I can't
Wow.
quite
Interesting.
remember. So it was limited viewing, but of course there were lines because the hype was there. Of course, the lines got bigger as the other, movies came out, like Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
What you were telling me that what happened when you were trying to see Empire Strikes Back?
Well,
Listen to this, Brian.
well, at the time, Jason's mom was pregnant with him, and in the middle of the pregnancy, and we were waiting in line, and it wasn't really that warm, but it wasn't probably maybe low 80s. But his mom all of a sudden just passed out. Okay, luckily she fell into my shoulders, and I prevented her from doing a face plant. Or else this mug would look a lot different.
Not as pretty.
So yeah, that happened. But so we had to postpone the Empire Strike Back for maybe one day.
Can you believe that, Brian? Because of me, I impeded my parents from seeing The Empire Strikes Back. It was my fault.
You know, if there were a fault or a reason, that'd be a pretty good one.
Yeah, but I take full responsibility. Well, 10% of the responsibility from that.
Oh, that's just like my co-host.
Yeah, it's just like, hey man, I take very
10%
little
of
responsibility for a few things that I do.
Just 10% of some of the audio glitches that we've had. Now it's sad.
But you know, Brian, it's so interesting to hear these stories because, you know, with my dad being here the last couple of days, you know, we've reminisced and he's, you know, told me about things like that, and you know, I told him more about the show. But it's very different than how we experience movie going today. And I mean, it completely different because the last big blockbuster that I saw was Avengers Endgame, and I went to Cine Bistro here at the Dolphin Mall, and I had bought my tickets early, and I was there like at 3:30 in the afternoon, the first showing that they had. The day before, it was actually supposed to be that Thursday evening, so I went. But I went online and I bought my tickets like 3 weeks ahead of time, you know, and the marketing was so big, and those things just didn't happen back then. It couldn't. We didn't have the technology, we didn't have the internet, the infrastructure. And now it's very different because, you know, you have, you know, people like Brian and I that, you know, whenever the next Star Wars movie comes out, we're going to have our tickets purchased the day they are available to be purchased online, which could be a month, 2 months, 3 months ahead of time. And
right.
Yeah. And so there's a lot more planning available for us. But of course, we already know what to expect. It's a new Star Wars movie. Of course, we're going to go see it. Maybe it sucks like The Last Jedi. I don't know. He's going to say something. Just wait. He's going to say something. Look at his face. So we have a lot of debates about that movie, and I'm right.
I'm going to be placing a link on the page soon that is tied to The Last Jedi, defending Luke's character.
You're gonna fact check me. You're gonna fact check me on this.
Be looking for that, okay?
He's gonna fact check me. I'm the Fox News of this show.
Okay.
But it's a very different. It was a different time, and we've talked about this, Brian, several times when even the Phantom Menace came out. I remember I took Mom one time to Al McCory. I think that was like I don't know if that was the first or second time I saw it. But she fell asleep in the theater. Poor thing. She fell asleep. But I had run into you, and I think that was like you said your third or fourth time seeing it that day, something like that. But kind of go back, and I know we talked about this before, but who cares? What did you do? I mean, how did you go to see this movie? Because this was in '99. Okay, how did you go to get those tickets? You waited in line, right?
Yeah. I mean, I as your dad stated, there wasn't a whole lot of. I mean, no one really knew what this was going to turn out to be, so the line for him was a bit different for tickets just because of the uncertainty. But where you had something like Phantom Menace that was returning 20-something years after Return of the Jedi or whatever it was, when. Or not even 20 years, but I mean a full decade passed. I mean, when you have something like that going on, I mean, there was no online ticket buying hadn't taken off yet in 1999. It just hadn't. Mm-hmm. So I had no choice but to go to Regal and camp out so I could get my tickets the following day.
So you camped out that evening.
Yep, I had to be there. I got there at 6:45 p.m., in which there was already 4 people at the door.
Can you believe that? That's cool.
And there was a sign-up list, so I got my name on the list. Uh-huh. Then around 10 o'clock, and I swear, I wish I could remember the names of these people because all of us got frustrated. They came in, they set up a tent right in the middle of where everyone was at. They came in, they just started setting it up.
Was this at Al McCory?
Yep, this was at Al McCory.
Okay.
And all of us saw them just plopping their tent right in the middle of the walkway, and all of us were like, hang on, did they not see the chairs at the front of, who are these people? All of us checked in at the front. So we were getting a little frustrated, and then they came, they said, oh, that's cute, y'all got a list. And we looked up and we're like, we're about to kick your ass out of here. So we're just like, you better start explaining yourself.
Yeah, don't piss off a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, really.
And they were like, well, we've been to like concerts and this and that. We know how to organize real well. And we were just like, well, you're still 25th
who were these
on the
people?
list.
Who the hell were these people?
They didn't even give their names. And we were just like, well, you're still 25th either way. Whether you were at Woodstock or wherever you were at, you're still 25. So, I mean, there's nothing changing that. But,
yeah.
I mean, that was like the first frustrating part. Then it rained.
Oh, that's right.
It rained ridiculous. So the line kind of funneled into the tunnel that was next to the old Borders bookstore.
Oh, I remember. Okay.
It kind of funneled into there. Then as the morning came and everything, it was blistering hot. I mean, it was stupid hot.
Oh.
It must have been at like 8:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be like already 90 something degrees already. Just something ridiculous. It wasn't even like 80s. So when it got to the afternoon, we were almost at 100-degree temperatures, and I was so upset.
And this was in May. This was in May of '99 in San Antonio.
So I'm just angry because I just those New Yorkers were there, and then the rain came, and then it's already hot, and I'm in a Cubs hat with a Yo Kyoto Taco Bell T-shirt. It doesn't even really hardly fit. And finally, KSAT News got there, and so they're going around the line asking people how they feel. And then when they got to me, I looked at the reporter and I said, "Lady, I just want my expletive tickets." So she looked at the camera guy, gave like a motion, and then they started over as they went down. And one of my buddies was like, "You just blew your chance to be on TV." And I was like, "I don't care."
Yeah, but that's okay because they did it doesn't matter. They did an article on you in the Express News. So
I did have one done.
You got yours anyways. So you knew about that, right? Yeah. So and we don't even talk about that a whole lot. I know I have it linked somewhere. I think on our Twitch page or something about your article. I mean, you were featured in the Express News about your collection.
It was in 2015 when they were doing the Force Awakens stuff. But I want to ask Uncle Jay this. So he got his tickets now. His tickets are in hand. You're heading to your seat. You got your popcorn, your jujubes, or I don't know what your little thing is for movies at that time. I mean, it might be a little different from when you watch movies now, but I mean, you got your stuff. You've taken your seat, and then what for you was like the holy crap moment for you, like when things started? I mean, for many, it's as the Star Destroyer is passing over. For some, it's as simple as the crawl. Others, it's when Vader came out. But I mean, what was it for you at that point?
Well, I think the interesting part was you see the crawl and you're reading and you're thinking, well, shit, I've already missed half the movie,
Oh, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. That's the funniest thing said that we've had in 36 shows.
So
that is incredible. Please, that
so
was
I'm thinking, did I miss something? Was there just, some other little movie or a little snippet, So I see the call and I'm reading it and I'm thinking, okay, and then we see, Darth Vader, and that was a pretty defining moment for the series or for the movie. Okay, we started out with the bad guys. Okay, then of course we have the drones. C-3PO and R2-D2. And that was sort of a unique. Now we have these robotic, these robots that have a personality that you can relate to, and feel sentimental towards, and so it just continued like that. And so those were like, I guess, defined, just the introduction to the call, introduction to your characters.
Nice. So let's fast forward 3 years. Let's just fast forward 3 years right now. 1980.
Yeah.
1980, Empire Strikes Back. The moment that everybody finds out Darth Vader's relation to Luke Skywalker, like that moment on Bespin.
Wait, they're related?
That's the rumor. Yeah, apparently they share DNA.
He gets mad when I don't pay attention.
Right.
I mean, it's only like what the whole 9 chapters center around. I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, so yeah, because we've known forever, right, that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. We've known that,
Right,
but
he
you didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
He
going
went
into
into
the
that
movie,
seat,
Right.
not having any idea what was going to go down. So I'd love to hear this, because I mean he sat there, and Darth Vader threw that out to the audience, and I mean, just tell us, like, what was your shock level?
Well, it was a holy crap level, just all of a sudden, Luke, I'm your father. And then all of a sudden you get your hand sabered off, so there you go. I mean, it's just a typical father-son, love-hate relationship, so, so
I want to keep my hands, Dad.
So yes, that was a pretty. I mean, it had to be the most significant moment of the first 3 movies, of course. To see that plot sequence develop. Okay, and certainly just made you want to think, well, how did this really happen? How did you get to Darth Vader? How did he become his son? I mean, you're thinking of all those. Just you're already thinking of the prequels that are coming up, in another 15 years or whatever. So you're thinking, ahead of like, how did this happen?
Okay.
So
Interesting.
And we don't even find this. We don't even really find out until the prequels come out. We really don't know the whole.
Right.
We don't know the whole genesis of Darth Vader and
Of Anakin. Well, yeah.
of Anakin Skywalker.
You don't really. The closest background you get to Anakin Skywalker is what Obi-Wan Kenobi laid down in the first Star Wars, Episode 4.
Right.
Just that he was a very strong pilot, he was a good friend, and he was a very strong Jedi. I mean, that's really all you got. Great pilot, good friend, Jedi.
Yeah, but it left all these questions open, like how did he turn bad? What happened? Okay.
Yes.
Who is Luke Skywalker and Leia's mother? Who's the mom? And all of this. So, and then we find out 15 years later or 16 years later.
And Brian, the really cool thing about us being able to have this show right now, and I mentioned this last time, is right now with Disney Plus being the vehicle for all of these new stories, we are now able to kind of dig deeper into some of these bigger questions, right? Because George Lucas mentions certain things in the original trilogy that are very broad and they're open to interpretation. And now with all of these other little side shows that they're doing, some of these spin-offs, it's going into deeper development of the characters. And what better time for us to have a show than right now when all of this stuff is coming out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. When the Obi-Wan series is coming out, the Ahsoka series is coming out, Mandalorian season 3 is coming out, and we do spoilers, Dad, but I know you haven't really got to the last episode of the Mandalorian season 2, but it's a doozy.
Wow.
It's a doozy. It's big, and I'm sure you've heard what happens.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so let's give him a little respect and not spoil it for him. But he's got some time to go back in and finish that off. But it's a doozy, and it gets us really excited. And we did this show all summer with so little to talk about. We were scraping for material, and then all of a sudden Disney drops this huge bomb on us that they're going to do the Rogue Squadron movie, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Bad Batch. What else is coming out?
Star Wars Visions, droids.
Yeah, they're going to do a droids spin-off, and Mandalorian season 3.
Material.
Wow, it's just like, okay, hey, maybe this show sucks. Maybe we have nothing to do, and then boom, okay, we don't have enough time to cover all this.
Right.
It's incredible. So it'd be cool if you checked out the show every now and again.
Right. Well, I started to yesterday till your cat attacked me. So.
Oh yeah. God, Chloe, Jesus, that
the
monster.
Tusken has a cat.
I do.
Yes.
I haven't mentioned it because I'm going to do a big Instagram
Right.
reveal. But I have a psychotic cat that is constantly on cocaine and heroin. Yeah, it's not even by choice. It's kind of forced upon her by her upbringing. But she's insane. But the reveal is coming. Everybody, don't you worry. The reveal.
So
is
there's another tidbit in The Empire Strikes Back, and it's when Luke is dangling from the communications array that's underneath the city, and he's calling out to Leia. Now, again, the other thing that no one knows yet is the exact nature of their relationship. But did you feel he clearly makes a connection with her, right, Uncle Jay? And then
Right.
when that happens, did you start to think that there was definitely something more to be explained? And you were just kind of left. Did you feel you were left hanging with that?
Well, of course. I mean, you're thinking, okay, he shouts out to her, and she hears him, and so you're thinking there's more to this little relationship than we're getting on film, and so that even adds to the allure of the last movie, or the last of the first trilogy.
Now, taking that and segueing into Return of the Jedi. So, I mean, it gets dumped on everyone early that they're brother and sister right after Luke gets back to Dagobah after
Right.
rescuing Han from Jabba. And going forward, lots of people now get revolted from the kiss in The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, did you have that kind of moment now when you see the kiss in The Empire Strikes Back, knowing that lots of people just kind of, they get an immediate, oh. But
Well, personally, I was not revolted, and so I don't know what that says about me, but I certainly didn't really think bad about it. So I mean, it is what it is.
But here's the thing, also on that, Brian, and I've thought about this. I don't know what that says about me.
Oh, no.
But
see, here's where we're going to lose all the millions
no,
of people.
no. I'm being serious. I'm like, but
Okay.
look, do you think that this is part of what Irvin Kershner was trying to accomplish? He was really just trying to kind of throw off the audience to the idea that
that's a good point. I mean, that
Leia was his sister.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're like, oh no, he could be a sister. They made out earlier, or she kissed him. Earlier in the movie. She tongued Luke Skywalker. But I mean, Irvin Kershner was a genius cinematically during his time, and it's specifically why George Lucas chose him, because he was Hollywood yet not Hollywood. That's his quote, not mine. But I mean, I think that he did that to throw us off to, when it finally was revealed in Return of the Jedi, when Richard Marquand directed that movie, he knew that it was going to go in that direction. So I think that maybe that's probably why it was thrown in there. Like, hey, how else to throw off the audience that they're brother and sister than to, I don't know, have them make out with each other, I mean, that's my twisted way of thinking.
I would have to say it was probably part of the equation. I mean, it would be difficult to say that it wasn't part of the equation. I absolutely think that they had to throw something out there just to try and throw the scent off. But
and I think they did a good job.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, by the time you got to Jedi, it was just sort of like, oh, I mean,
well,
you knew there was something there, but no idea that it was going to be that close.
Well, think about the first two movies, the way they portray Leia. I mean, looks kind of dowdy. I mean, she's got the Cinnabons on her hair, and the long gown, but she doesn't turn hot till the third movie when she's a prisoner of Jabba. Now, if they had kissed afterwards, maybe you think that's a little revolting, but this happened before,
Yeah. So there's like the steady progression of hotness
with her,
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad before then, but afterwards it may have been a little.
I love it.
I love it.
You went from long gown to Cinnabons to like battle princess to
right, exactly.
metal bikini.
Yeah. So.
Now, Uncle Jay, I'm just going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
I'm just going to flat out put you on the spot.
All right.
I don't think it's any secret that, like your son, you're a bit of a Trekkie.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's widely known that you enjoy yourself some Trek. But I'm gonna put it right here to you.
Okay.
If you could only pick one, and you got to remember we are on a Star Wars show, but if you could only pick one, which one would it be? Would it be Trek? Or actually, if you could only say which one has the overall greater narrative, would it be Trek or would it be Star Wars?
I'd have to say Star Wars. Okay.
Excellent. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, see,
Good
that's
answer.
where I'm going to say Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I know it's 2-1 or two
It is
against
2-1.
Juan.
You're crazy.
Whatever.
You're absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not crazy, and I brought
Yeah,
this up
no,
because I bring up Star Trek every now and again, just because I can do what I want. I'm an adult. I pay taxes. So I bring this up
You
because
don't. You do it to annoy me, but I mean that's
well, why? I mean, why else? I mean, there's no greater pleasure than annoying my cousin, of course. That's a whole time zone
exactly.
away. But, the reason I bring this up, we talk about narrative and we talk about, I think, maybe, I guess, overall story culture. Okay, so, yeah, Star Wars has a great narrative. Okay, there's twists, there's turns, there's, oh my God moments. There's really nothing like that in Star Trek. I mean, there are some oh my God moments, but there's a certain storyline, and this whole storyline is plausible in my mind. Okay, it's plausible because it's the future, right? Gene Roddenberry was thinking of a utopia society where our advancement of technology has come so far that it's transcended our politics and our differences and humanity, because it's not just technology, but it is the humanity of the story as well, right? We discussed a couple shows ago about the Razor Crest being part of the Mandalorian series, as we believed that the Millennium Falcon was a part of Star Wars. Well, Gene Roddenberry has said time and time again, well, when he was still alive, that the USS Enterprise was the main character of Star Trek. The ship was the main character of it. So, with that, what is in the USS Enterprise? It encompasses the people, the technology, the advancement of technology, or the advancement of us as humans to reach out and visit other species and maintain political relations with them, because it's not free of conflict. We know of the Romulan Star Empire and the Federation War and the conflict with the Klingons, and how this just develops a narrative on its own, but not just between a certain faction or people, but of an entire race and culture. So that's kind of where I put Star Trek on the edge. It's a little behind right now as far as continuing with the story like Star Wars is. They kind of got it going with Picard again, because everyone loves Jean-Luc Picard, and that series was very good.
Well, actually, I think they're onto something with Discovery more than Picard. But
they are, because I mean it's a whole new crew, and it's a new way of looking at Star Trek. It really is. You can't just maintain the whole Captain Kirk storyline and Captain Picard storyline for a very long time. I think you can still, of course, go on more with Picard because everybody's still alive right now, but definitely not with the original series. But that's kind of where I just put the small, short edge on there as far as my diehard interests go. I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. I'm the co-host of a show for Star Wars, but Star Trek just it does it for me, man. It sexually excites me. Yeah, look at his face.
Okay, so
He needs to get out more often, I guess. So.
that's what it sounds like. So I think we're nearing an hour, but to kind of bring us home on this one, Uncle Jay, I'm just going to hit you. I had plenty of other stuff, but
Sure.
It's only been a half hour.
Sure.
no, I mean we're 15 minutes shy of an hour.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine,
it's
yeah.
getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting
Oh,
there.
okay. Yeah.
But honestly, I view Star Wars as more than a legacy of material. To me, it's beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just absolutely timeless. There's a lot of things that time can stop, but I honestly view that time cannot stop this legacy of material that Lucas has put together. And now that you've been through it all. You've been through the original trilogy. You've been through the prequel trilogy, and now recently you've been through the sequel trilogy with 7, 8, and 9, and now you're experiencing all this material on Disney Plus between The Mandalorian and all the stuff upcoming with Andor and Ahsoka and Kenobi, and just the myriad of stories that are going to be approaching us in 2021 and 2022. Given all this, what is it in your mind that makes this story timeless? That it just goes on. What is it that what are the factors in your views that go into that?
Well, I mean, with this, you have so many side stories. I mean, we've seen movies about, Han Solo. We saw, what was the other one, the Rogue?
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Yep.
Yeah, we saw that movie. So there's so many offshoots from this, from these 9 movies. I mean, you can just keep going ad infinitum, adding characters, putting it all together. And look at The Mandalorian. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, you could just continue to make movie after movie or series after series. Not so much with Star Trek, but with Star Wars, yes. Okay. And, I mean, you see that with countless books, like which you've read, of course. And like I say, you just can continue to build upon this, build new characters, all intertwined in some way, in some form or fashion, and that's the beauty of it. That makes it timeless.
How special is it that you can sit with your son and discuss all this and know that someday that he could potentially be sitting with his kids and your grandkid, your future grandkids potentially, and you see this generation gap being stitched together by one series of films and stories. How does that feel?
Well, I hope he hurry up and gets a kid because I'm not getting any younger, So yes, that special feeling to be able to have that commonality and just go from one generation to the next and hopefully to the other at some point.
I mean, to me, that's where it really, really places its stake in film lore, is the fact that you have someone like yourself who's up to now seen it all, and then you have myself and Jason, and we caught it growing up. We didn't catch it from the ground up, but we caught it later. And then you have people that are experiencing it right now for the very first time, and eventually they're going to start to get curious, and they're going to go back to the source material for everything that's happening on Disney Plus right now. They're going to want to know where the X-Wings and Rogue Squadron came from. They're going to want to know what was Boba Fett's history. They're going to want to know Ahsoka's history. They're going to want to know all this stuff. And they're going to go back and they're going to look at it. And you have these generations being bridged together by these stories. And to me, that is just what is going to enable this to go on forever, because you're going to have fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, grandchildren continuously discussing this stuff for who knows how long. And that is what George Lucas has accomplished from a guy who started growing up in Modesto, California, that dug, cars. That was his thing. Just going out, cruising during high school. I mean, one day getting in a horrific accident that changed his outlook on everything, and then he wanted to start making movies. And now he's done this tremendous mosaic that brings generations together. I really think that's the forefront, the main face of what Star Wars is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for once with him.
Yeah, really.
it doesn't happen often.
Oh, we're getting somewhere.
It is rare when he agrees with me. You got to jot it down or something.
Right.
Yeah. Red letter day.
Here to see this.
After debates of aerodynamics with cows and lobsters and I don't know what else that we've argued
super
about.
Interesting. I got to show you that, by the way. The aerodynamics
No,
of
you
cows
don't.
and lobsters.
No.
It's
No.
great.
No. Your dad flew up all the way over there. I mean, in the middle of all kinds of strenuous PPE requirements for Don't do that to him after all that. Don't,
All right,
dude,
I'll spare him that. I'll spare him
he doesn't
that.
need to know. He doesn't need to know how a lobster tail becomes aerodynamic to get in the air.
We'll catch
He
up
doesn't
on
need
the
to
next
know this.
visit.
Yeah, that'll be the next time.
That's the next visit.
And I'll probably be having to go to Texas to show him
Yeah.
that. But hey, Brian, this was fun, man. I'm really glad that we were able to squeeze this in. I just finished. I just finished cooking. Just finished cleaning up. I mean, we made a great turkey. We made a ham, macaroni, some cornbread. It was delicious. It was just a great, simple Christmas here in Doral, Florida. And I hope you and Anna had something similar.
Oh yeah,
But I'm hoping that this time next year I'll be able to be over there, or you can come over here, or whatever. But we did the show in Thanksgiving, and we did it together, and it was so fun. It was great. We had, semi-live studio audience. I'll show you the video later, but we had such an amazing time, and I hope to do that again once COVID is done. So Dr. Juarez, get on it. Help us out.
I'll do my best.
Help us out, and so that we can continue to do this. But I'm really glad that you were able to do this and you agreed to join in on this, because Brian and we have such a great time doing this show. Even though we can't squeeze it in every Monday that we want to, because either he's busy, I'm busy. We do this because we're so far apart, and it helps us keep in touch.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was great. It's always great.
Thank you, Uncle Jay.
Yes,
It was huge that you were able to come on.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's great to hear the insight from you, especially for things that we just have never been able to experience ourselves, or things that we just hear about, just firsthand narratives. It's great for us. But hey, Brian, I hope you have a really, really, really nice evening with Anna, and a very nice rest of your Christmas. We'll be back on Monday. We've got tons more to talk about that we didn't get to last time. So we got another big show coming up here on Monday.
Of course, as we close out, we just want to throw shout outs to our sponsors that work with us, with Bad Customs, with Brianna, and Pharaoh's Designs with Renee and Rose. We appreciate what they do. Mm-hmm. I just threw a post on the page of some trinkets that Pharaoh Rose gave us that we're going to use for giveaways once we get that more streamlined. Mm-hmm. And I know Brianna wants to do some more stuff with us from Bad Customs.
We need to get her back on the show sometime. I checked out her. Yeah, I checked out her giveaway show, and that was really fun to watch. So I mean, I hope she does more, but we need to get her back on the show sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe after the holidays and once everything's calmed down. So, but again, thanks for joining us, Dad.
Thank you.
We got some more drinking to do, so
let's get to it.
Yeah, we got to get to it. Brian, you and Anna have a very Merry Christmas, and everybody out there in the All Fetts Are Off universe. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you so much. Have a very, very, very special Christmas night tonight. We're not gonna yub nub, but we're gonna do the Christmas song.
We're gonna do Christmas again.
Yeah, we'll do Christmas again. We'll yub nub next time. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.